This is our first technique discussed so far in class that is not considered a primary hazard analysis technique. Requirements hazard analysis is considered a supporting technique because it is designed to take information generated from many of the other techniques and help track the information to make sure that all hazards are addressed by safety requirements, all safety requirements are incorporated into system design, and that they have all been tested. Since the requirements hazard analysis carries a supporting role, the timing of the requirements hazard analysis is a bit longer. It starts earlier in the life cycle, and it can go longer than some of the other techniques we have discussed. That some of the other techniques are pretty time specific. They need to stop at certain times, or they can't start till detailed design and such. So some of the other techniques have to stop. The requirements design hazard analysis type can actually extend a little bit longer because of its supporting role. The timeline posed in our text might make you think that the requirements hazard analysis is a link early in the process flow, but it's not really that way. The requirements hazard analysis starts here where it is inserted, but it carries forward actually throughout most of all the techniques throughout the system life cycle. It carries forward concurrent with all of the other design tasks and hazard analysis techniques through design and even into production and operation. The requirements hazard analysis takes input from many different other hazard analysis types, and it provides output as verification and validation, as well as any SSRs, verification and validation, system safety requirements. Those are the outputs. Outputs go to the system design hazard analysis type that we just talked about. So some of the outputs, the requirements design, goes into system design hazard analysis type to be further analyzed. The requirements hazard analysis starts by gathering all of the information related to system safety requirements. Now the system safety requirements, that's where this hazard analysis technique will start. Remember that those are coming from the recommended actions of other analysis techniques. Requirements hazard analysis correlates those system safety requirements and top-level mishaps. It correlates those into this hazard analysis technique. Note that there may be more than one system safety requirement for a given hazard or top-level mishap. So in our text example, top-level mishap number 1 was inadvertent warhead explosive initiation. And you notice that number 1 is presented twice here. And it's got different system safety requirements. All that means is that there are multiple mitigation strategies. System safety requirements are mitigation strategies. There are multiple mitigation strategies to eliminate or reduce one hazard. Back to our matrix then. The SC column stands for safety critical. Remember that safety critical is means that the severity of a mishap would be classified as catastrophic or critical. It is only related to severity, not likelihood. If a hazard has critical severity and negligible likelihood, the risk may not be too high, but due to the severity, the critical severity, it's still considered safety critical. So safety critical means catastrophic or critical severity. Does not take into account likelihood. This is the matrix's way of addressing design and test requirements related to the system safety requirements. They list the items by number. This last series of columns summarizes the testing status of the system safety requirement. Here are the codes. They're pretty self-explanatory except for the test coverage. So the test coverage portion, let's go into that just a little bit. It's a loose comparison I'll make by way of explanation. So your test coverage can be E for explicit or I for implicit. Explicit means that the system safety requirement is tested. explicitly. It's tested in its own. So, for example, a small boat for buoyancy testing to find out how much weight you can put into a small boat without it sinking. For small boat buoyancy testing, they put a boat in the water and they load it up until it sinks. That's explicit testing coverage. For large ships, by contrast, that would be too costly. So engineers have to derive buoyancy numbers and mathematically deduce the payload of the ship. That's implicit test coverage. So small boats, explicit testing coverage, load it up till it sinks. Large ships, it's too expensive to do that. Mathematically deduce the payload, figure out the payload of the ship. That's implicit testing coverage. A wing structural test could be implicit if a sample cross-section is used to test the stress to the fracture point. The requirements hazard analysis takes a lot of input from a lot of other hazard analysis techniques. It combines them into a matrix to ensure that every hazard has a safety requirement and every safety requirement has a design test requirement, and that those requirements have all been implemented.